Hey everybody, it's Belinda. In this video, I'm going to talk about when you are in an interview, remember you're in an interview. Sometimes people get in an interview and they get too comfortable. And that's hard to believe because in an interview, you're very nervous. Most people are very nervous, so nervous that they forget a lot of things. They forget where they've worked, they forget what they did on the job because they're just so nervous. They're so nervous and uncomfortable being there. And everybody understands nerves. Every HR person understands nerves. They understand people being nervous. It's an uncomfortable situation. You don't know what questions we're about to ask. But at some point in the interview, you will have to be able to get yourself together in order to articulate what you want us to know about you. You can't spend the whole time in the interview talking about I'm nervous and get nothing out, because then all I'm left with is I don't know anything about her. Why would I pick her? She was not able, the entire interview, she was unable to articulate anything or answer any of the questions appropriately. So at some point in the interview, you want to get your nerves under control so that you can articulate just how great you are. I mean, because that is your time to shine. On the flip side, some people get too comfortable in an interview, way too comfortable. And one, they can start oversharing. They can start thinking they already got the job when they don't. They can start doing things that they normally wouldn't do in an interview. Putting your feet up on the desk, taking a phone call, just all kind of inappropriate things. So in an interview, you want to remember that you're being interviewed. You don't want to get so comfortable, so relaxed. There's never a between me and you. That should never come out your mouth. If you're interviewing somebody, especially when they ask you maybe about your past job or your old jobs, and you didn't really care for them or like them, and you say, well, between me and you, I didn't really like working there. That's a huge red flag. You should never, ever, ever say that in an interview. Between me and you. There is no between me and you. You are a total stranger. So there is no in between me and you. You should never let that come out your mouth. You shouldn't be that comfortable where you feel like you can just tell me anything. They did this and they did that, because I'm thinking you can do the same thing here. You can do the same conniving thing here, because that's not professional. That's not your best foot forward. So in an interview, you always, at all times, want to remember you're in an interview. You don't want to be, again, so comfortable where you feel like, I have a connection. She's cool. We went to the same college. She's cool. She likes, dogs. I like dogs. She's real cool. We are never that cool. We're strangers. It is my job to make you feel comfortable so that, one, you can hopefully answer the questions the way, appropriately to help you be able to get this job. That's one. That's why I'm trying to make you feel comfortable. That's why I'm talking in a relaxed tone. That's why I'm smiling, but don't forget, I don't know you. And when you say things such as between me and you, or start bad mouthing your old company, that is a red flag, and it's not professional, and it does not set you in the position of being one of the people that I want to hire. It does just the opposite. It immediately moves you into the slot of I'm not interested. The other thing too is that, listen, the interview is a two-way street. So if I talk about salary or benefits or about the job, and then later you turn around and ask me those same questions, it tells me that you're not paying attention. Okay? So in an interview, listen, make sure that you're hearing what is being said, so that, because again, you don't want to leave the impression that you don't pay attention, that all you do is just talk, talk, talk. Then when the other person talk and telling you some information, that you are not paying attention. This is even more important for a phone interview or video interview. When you're doing a phone interview or video interview, take notes. Have a piece of paper, a pen or pencil, so that you can take notes. A lot of times, the HR representative is giving you information. I can't tell you how many times I've given out information, email addresses, and people don't write it down. The address, people don't write it down. They'll say they have said, "Oh, I'll Google it." Okay. If Google sends you somewhere else, or they have another address for whatever reason listed, maybe we've moved and the old address is still on Google and not the new one, whose fault is that? Because I gave you the address, you chose not to write it down, or you said I'll Google it. When in fact, I'm saying, here's the address, write it down. Listen. That's so important, so very important in an interview. If you want a job, it's a two-way street. If you want a job and you want to do well in an interview, you need to remember, on the phone, you're being interviewed, video, you're being interviewed, and face to face, you're being interviewed the whole time. On the phone, if you have to run and get something, or go to a quiet room, or kick everybody out your room or whatever, mute. Hit mute. We don't need to hear all that. We don't need to hear all the scuffling and whatever else that's going on in the background. We don't need to hear it. We don't want to hear it. So mute. That's part of it. Because you don't want to be kicking people out and maybe they don't want to go out the room. You know, your animals are trying to turn the TV down or whatever. Hit mute. Do all that stuff, then come back. We understand that because a phone call usually is not planned. So, you know, you might have been in the middle of something. So it may take you a minute to be able to get to where you need to go so you can conduct the interview. So you can say, can you give me just a few seconds? I want to go to a private, quiet place so that I can hear you and I can concentrate. And in doing that, grab a pen and a sheet of paper so that you can take notes of what the person's telling you, maybe what the next steps are. Same thing in a video interview. A lot of times they'll say, okay, the next steps is that you need to send blah, 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 this assessment. You need to be writing that down, not trying to show your memory. I'll give a good example of writing things down. For me, when I go to a restaurant, I am never impressed for a waitress or a waiter to take my order and don't write anything down. Never. Because I would rather you write it down and hear me say, ooh, extra, one thing of extra serve, or no onions, or well done. And it comes out right because you wrote it down, as opposed to your memory and it comes out, oh, I don't know why they put wheat toast. I know you asked for raisin toast. Because I'm like, well, to myself, well, maybe you should have wrote it down. Because in writing it down, you might have would have got it right better. So writing things down is important. In an interview, when you're on a phone or video, even face to face, you can take notes. It's okay to take notes because you want to make sure that you're getting everything. But in an interview, always remember that you're being interviewed. It's not rocket science. So you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, that you're not so comfortable that you're saying anything and everything. In an interview, you're being interviewed for everything that you do. So be mindful of that. See you in the next video.